Hey guys, going to do a quick little flea market finds. This is going to be just a little box of junk I get at the flea market a couple of weeks ago, and then we're going to go into some Craigslist buys that I actually made immediately after the last estate sale. And it was kind of funny because I had already agreed to meet the guy and buy the stuff before I actually went to the estate sale. And then I ended up meeting him like the day after the estate sale to get those items, and we'll get to those in a moment. And the reason why it's funny, probably to no one but me, will be self-explanatory in a bit. But first, let's just blast through this pile of stuff here. So I hit one of my favorite flea market vendors, the guy who does cleanouts and who prices stuff just basically off the shoots from the hip on all the prices. And he had an organizer there with all the little plastic drawers in it. I've got a couple of those left over from my electronics repair days. And I started to go through it, and there was a bunch of little hardware in there. And what I did was I went through every single drawer and picked out any item that I thought I left no stone unturned, any item that I thought at some point I might be able to use for something, and put it all together in a pile. Then I found this little plastic box right here that has Dremel tool attachments, some stones, a couple of wire wheels, and I knew that I was going to get this for next to nothing. So I threw that in, and then I went through a box that had some envelopes in it, and in the envelopes there was all kinds of just junk paperwork and stuff from the typical estate sale clean out. And inside one of the envelopes I found this Bruins NHL patch. And I looked at it and I thought, wow, judging from the age of the rest of the paperwork that was in the envelopes with this stuff, I figured it was kind of an old one. And I've since learned that the dead giveaway that this is an early one is that it's got what they call a cheesecloth backing. So I don't know if you can see that. By the way, the audio should be better tonight because I'm going commando with the going commando with the Hero 4. So it's completely out of the case. And I don't even think I want to show you how I've got it on the tripod, but it's basically strapped to the tripod with the tripod mount. The shoe that normally screws it to here, that is a quick disconnect shoe. I've got the Hero strapped to that with large elastic bands. Not the best setup, but until I get that one of those skeleton aftermarket cases, and I'm gonna just try and deal with it this way. So back to the patch. So the patch I thought might be a real sleeper. It might be a really good find. Since I've gotten the patch, I've tried researching it, and I've searched through hundreds and hundreds of online images of Boston Bruins patches, and I have not found this one anywhere. I have not found it on eBay in current or past sales. I haven't found it anywhere else. So I'm still kind of wondering about this. So I don't even know what the value is. So what I ended up doing was I bundled all this stuff, which I'll show you in a second, and this patch all together in one pile. I got everything for $6. So I felt pretty good about that. So got the patch, a little kit of Dremel tools, and then just the rest of this is just miscellaneous hardware. But there's some neat little things in here. Here's little thumb screws, okay, and these little thumb screws come in handy as little locking screws on different things. So I can't think of anything offhand right now, but I think like on one of the sanders that I just got, there was a bolt missing that ended up tightening on a shaft that slid in and out. Well, ideally it would be this kind of a bolt so that you could easily grab it. So I got those, a couple of springs, which when you go to buy a spring at the hardware store and see what you pay for one of these springs now. Same thing with these washers. These are nice thick washers. Somebody took the time to tape them all together. Let's get that nasty old masking tape that will be stuck to them for quite some time. Here's these are a couple of 1/4 inch audio plugs. And these are marked PJ-055B. I don't know what that means. What I thought was cool about these is that they're brass. So these are probably pretty early. Look at how this is all brass. Instead of like normally when you open one of these up, this is all wide open. This is all brass, almost as if they intended for this to actually act almost as shielding. And also makes this stronger. And then I got 2 of those, and then there was actually even a chassis jack. This is a still got the tag on it. This is a Switchcraft Inc. Chicago, Illinois, USA. But this is a panel mounted jack, like on a guitar amplifier or something of that type. And you can tell by the fact that it's only got the one contact here that this is a mono one channel, like for a guitar. A long bolt, bunch of spacers, several bolts. This bag is filled with nothing but C-clips. Several different, a couple different sizes, but quite a few of them. These are mini test clips. These are for doing when you're working on a PC board level components. You can clip onto like the lead of a resistor or a capacitor with one of these, and then the other end is another one, so you can actually jumper out, say if you wanted to jumper out a resistor for some reason, or any number of other reasons. Got one of those, 2 of those, and then a mini test clip. This is a banana jack, they call this, so this can go into a meter, and then gives you a little mini clip on the end. And then just one that you could put your own wire on and make another one out of. Fender washers, I believe these are called, when they've got the really large diameter but small holes. A few different ones, styles of those. Wing nuts, bolts. Here's a little bag full of fine thread bolts that look like they're anodized. Got some kind of a coating on them. Another spring. A threaded pipe plug, and a bunch more bolts. But then, let me show you. Look at these. These are nice. These are brass thumb screws, or brass set screws. So, for instance, I just replaced the one on the Vernon with one that I had. So if I wanted to, these are a little too long, but if one of these was shorter, oh wait a minute, I think I might have seen a shorter one in here somewhere. Oh, that's a shorter one, but I think that's going to be too thick of a diameter. That might be too short. But the idea is a brass one would be kind of neat on the Vernon. These little knobs right here, I don't know what these are from. These are cast metal. They do not appear to be threaded, so I'm not even sure how these were supposed to be fastened to whatever they go on. Maybe these would be press fit onto the end of a threaded rod, or maybe they come this way and you thread them yourself. I don't know. But these are cast metal. And one large pull knob. This looks like it's for an electrical switch maybe. It's got a brass insert, plastic molded around it. Looks like the kind of knob that you would pull out to turn on a big switch or something on some sort of an electrical device. And a panel mounted or chassis mount fuse holder. So this is got a spring-loaded cap. You put your fuse in there and push closed, and wire solders here and a wire solders here, and it's an inline fuse holder. Sometimes I get a piece of equipment and this cap is missing. So if the cap alone, it was worth grabbing that. So if anybody's a Bruins aficionado and can tell me anything about this Bruins patch, I'd love to know. All right, so about a week before I hit that big estate sale that you guys just, those of you who regularly follow my channel, just probably finished watching a 4 or 5 part series I did where I picked up all that really cool stuff. About a week before that, I spotted an ad on Craigslist, and it was one of those machinist items type of ads where just several miscellaneous, nothing remarkable at first look. And when the guy first posted the ad, he didn't have all of the pictures up, and he mentioned that he had some indicators and some lathe tooling, I think, or I forgot what caught my eye initially. But then when I was reading down the list, I noticed under indicators he had a Travadial indicator listed for 25 bucks. And those of you guys who know Travadial indicators know that a Travadial indicator for 25 bucks is definitely something you want to take a look at. And what I ended up doing was I ended up calling him, and I asked about it, and he said, yeah, he still had it. I said I'd be interested in it, and I asked him if he could send me a picture. And he sent me a picture, and I, first look at the picture, I thought, well, okay, that looks like it might need some work. But I thought, for 25 bucks, I should take a chance. Now, he was kind of out in the boonies, so we agreed to meet at a place about halfway between the two of us. So I only had to drive about 25, 30 minutes as opposed to an hour. And I said, why don't you bring the other stuff you have with you, because I might want to take a look at that stuff too. And so we met in the parking lot of a Walmart, and probably a lot of deals go down in this country in the parking lot of a Walmart. But anyways, we hashed it out back and forth, and I ended up giving 60 bucks for the contents of this box, which includes paying his full asking price of 25 bucks for the Travadial. And the reason why I thought it was kind of funny was because those of you who watched that estate video realized that I was talking about how I kind of missed out. I passed up buying 2 Travadial indicators that were on a mount because the price was like 140 or 150 bucks. And the reality is that actually was still a good deal on those, because those Travadial indicators were larger than this one, and they looked in excellent shape. So let's check out what I got here. So, all right, so there's a quick look at the Travadial. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's look at the other junk. Well, not necessarily junk. I do have, here's a decent chuck. This chuck is just marked 1 to 13 millimeter JT33. And that's all that's on it. So I think this is like a Shars or one of those cheapo brand chucks. But it's on an R8, so I figured, I knew that I was going to get this really cheap for the most part. So I got this chuck.
And so let me just get this all out here.
Alright, so let's try and rationalize my purchase here. Let's assume that I paid 25 for the Travadial. We'll set that off to the side just for a moment. So then really I'm into the rest of this stuff right here for 35 bucks. So I think I did pretty well. I got the, like I said, I got the knockoff import looking chuck, but it looks like it's in good shape. I got this little itty bitty chuck, which is a Jacobs. This looks like it's a Jacobs 1B, and it says 0 to 1/4. It's in a Morse taper. I don't know what more, that's a small Morse taper there, and then it's in a sleeve. Then there's this little slice of heaven is an Albrecht. This is a nice chuck manufacturer, for those of you who don't know. This is 1/32 to 1/2 inch Albrecht Germany chuck. It's been engraved by someone. It looks like it came right out of the tool room or something. Got a guy's name on it. It's got number 48. A&M. It's probably a company. The jaws are not perfect on this one, but it does. It's smooth as a wow. Smooth as can be. Then this one Got a rusty Morse taper on it. It's a Cushman. Okay, it's a Cushman made in Japan. Capacity is 0 to 1/2 inch. Little cheapy chuck. And let's see, then this one here, this is an interesting looking one. This is a number 3. It's a Jacobs, but it's got to be an early one. And oddly enough, it's operating very smoothly, and the jaws are actually looking really good on this thing. So it's kind of funny. But just the style makes me think that's an early one. Either that or it's a different series. And then look at this keyless one. This one's funky. This one's a little tight. This one needs, this one's going to need a little attention. A little clean and lube. This one, the TR Almond, A-L-M-O-N-D, like the nut, manufacturing company of 83 Washington Street, Brooklyn, New York. I've never seen one of those. It's got a patent date. It looks like February of '76. Actually, this is getting a little better the more I work it. Again, jaws actually look like they're in pretty good shape. Unusual kind of style and shape to it, though. So that's an interesting little chuck. Really kind of getting a little crazy with the chucks here. And so I got these tool holders. So what did I say? I said I'm into this stuff at 35. I mean, even at $10 a piece, which the Albrecht's definitely worth more than $10. You know, did pretty well there. So let me put these chucks off to the side, and we'll take a look at these carbide insert holders, lathe tools. I can't be putting drill chucks in here, but this is getting pretty full. I need to find more drawer space. Well, I think I got a little bit of room. Yeah. There we go. More drill chucks. Yeah, I know. Not the greatest way to store those, but that's just temporary. That's why the Post-it notes. When I end up moving these cabinets to the other spot in the shop where I'm going to eventually keep them, then I'll start getting down to the nitty-gritty of deciding exactly which drawers I'm going to put what in, and I'll make some nicer labels up. Alright, so let's take a look at these 3 little Kennametal. This looks like it says DCRNL-124B. This is a KCLPL-124B. And it says INS-CP-42. And it's got a chipped insert in it right now. This is an SCGPL-123B. And this is a KCLPL-124B. So these two here are both KCLPL-124Bs. And then these are a little bit different. So, at some point, I'll look through all of my collection of orphan inserts and see if I have anything that'll fit these. And then it'll be fun to see whether or not I can even use these. Wow, that one's tilted way up. What's that, a positive rake? Is that what? Forget the terminology. Are they all like that? I don't know if I might not be able to use any of these. That one's not too bad. That one looks like negative rake. These other 3 all look like they're positive rake. Huh. Dark over here, but you see this is my drawer of miscellaneous insert holders that I have that I haven't done anything with. A lot of those I got for pretty much couple of bucks a piece at an estate sale a while back. A lot of them are really old. A lot of them have been ground down so they would fit into all the holders. So I add these to the pile, but those are new young pups compared to those things. But I mean, I mounted a couple of these and have had quite a bit of fun playing with some of these inserts. You know, that holder there, and I have no idea what that is. This big honking one here. That was a Valinite one that looks like somebody made. I don't know if that was modified or what, but that takes some of those big triangle inserts I had, and they seem to be working okay. What's this one? Oh, this was in this holder when I got it, so I haven't changed it yet. I don't think I have any inserts that fit this. The radius on that sucker. Now finally, back to the star of this whole video, the $25 Travadial, and why it's 25 bucks. Alright, so yeah, it's dirty. Yeah, it's missing the knob. But no, let's not stop there. That's not its only issue. So, I don't have a mount for it. This is a dovetail mount. And I'm sure there's probably a special expensive bracket that I'm wondering maybe I can make. I mean, I don't even know where I'm going to use this. I mean, the obvious place to use it would be on one of the lathes. I don't know if I want to use it on the Vernon. Maybe this is something I might hold off and keep for the Hendy. And that's obviously, that assumes that I'm able to actually get it repaired. So here's the deal with it. If I turn the knob, it turns like it should. Okay. But every once in a while, it feels like it's hanging up or something. And I'm not surprised because also here's the actual wheel. Okay? So for those of you who aren't familiar with how a Travadial works, a Travadial is mounted on a machine, typically a lathe, on the side of the carriage, and this wheel will be in contact with the actual side of the ways on the bed. And as you move the carriage left and right, the wheel will rotate left and right. And the idea is that this is in thousandths. So if I want to move my carriage 50 thousandths over that way, I can just read the dial and do that real easily. So that's what makes it kind of neat. I think it would be more practical if it had a secondary dial that showed me, say, like tenths, so that if I wanted to move over 5 inches and hit that spot exactly and then come back to 0, you know, that kind of thing. So I'm sure they make them like that. Of course, some guys put DROs on their lathes, on their old manual lathes, and there's actually even some poor man's ways of doing that with using scales. I think I even have a scale around here somewhere, a Mitutoyo scale. But getting back to the problem with the Travadial. So if I move this, it seems to move okay. But every once in a while it seems like it would skip, where the wheel would feel like it would move and the thing would hang for a second. And what I noticed is that this shaft that this knob went on right here is loose as heck. Watch as I move this back and forth. Watch that. I'm not turning this, mind you. I'm just moving it back and forth, and that's what's happening. Now, I don't think that's supposed to do that by design. Unless this wheel, see that shaft, clearly this wheel is mounted on that, because when I move this shaft back and forth, the wheel moves with it. So I don't know whether or not that's supposed to float freely, so that when this is up against here, that it gets preloaded a little bit. I don't know. So I don't think this camera angle is going to be very helpful, but the idea would be that if it was mounted on the side of my, if I had a bracket so I could mount it on the side of my carriage like this wheel would be in contact here, and then it would go down, and you can see, well, of course the problem is that it's not going. Yeah, I think this is sick. This is really rubbed over like something's bad. So I don't know if there's a bearing inside here or what. Now, I checked on the Long Island Indicator website just for the heck of it, and they talk about Travadial, and they say that Travadial is basically supposed to be serviced by Travadial. That you send these back to them, and they will rebuild them or service them accordingly. So if I really wanted to use this thing, the prudent thing would be to probably buckle down and spend the money and send this back to Travadial and have them go through it. Be tempted to know whether or not that's just a bushing in it that needs to be replaced that's worn out. So those of you guys who are in the know about Travadials, maybe you could tell me whether or not by design this is supposed to move like this. And because when I do it with my finger, it actually seems to work. You know, I put preload on this wheel and move it with my finger, it seems to work perfectly fine. But then when I try and do it over there on the lathe, it won't work. But of course, the side of my lathe bed, the side of the ways there is kind of lousy. It's not the greatest surface. So anyways, that's my $25 Travadial. I bet you I could get more than 25 bucks for this as is on eBay, because these damn things are so expensive new, or even in good used condition. All right, that's it for this episode. Take care, everybody. Oh, one last thing. If you find yourself regularly coming to my channels and wasting your time watching me, please, by all means, feel free to subscribe. I do a really bad job of marketing my channel. I don't do what YouTube says, which is have a call to action. And so here's my call to action. If you haven't already subscribed, please do me a favor, subscribe. Trying to get to 5,000, which is the next milestone for me in subscribers. I'm up to, I think, 3,500 or 30, I don't know. Forgot what I'm up to now. But anyways, take care.